In Louisa May Alcott's Little Women, Marmee, formerly known as Margaret March, is not merely the mother of the four central sisters. She is the moral and emotional heart of the novel. Her presence infuses the narrative with warmth, wisdom, and resilience, and her influence shapes the development of her daughters, both as individuals and as a collective. More than a maternal figure, Marmee serves as a symbol of idealized womanhood in the 19th century and becomes a vessel through which Alcott offers subtle social critique and commentary on domestic life, gender roles, and moral philosophy. Role in the narrative. Marmee's primary narrative role is that of the guide and moral compass. With Mr. March largely absent during much of the novel due to his service as a chaplain in the Civil War, Marmee is left to manage the household and raise the girls, Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy, on her own. Her nurturing, patience, and deep sense of ethics provide the foundation on which the March sisters mature and navigate the trials of adolescence and young adulthood. Throughout the novel, Marmee intervenes at pivotal moments in her daughters' lives. She is both a comforter and a teacher. For instance, when Jo struggles with her temper or Amy deals with her vanity, Marmee does not scold them, but gently leads them towards self-awareness and self-control. In one particularly revealing scene, Marmee admits to Jo that she, too, has struggled with a temper all her life, thus humanizing herself and modeling emotional honesty. This revelation is significant. It not only deepens Jo's admiration and trust, but also allows the reader to see Marmee not as a saintly, flawless figure, but as a woman who has learned strength through experience and personal growth. Importantly, Marmee is not portrayed as passive or submissive. While she may embody traditional maternal virtues, she also exhibits quiet authority and resolve. She teaches her daughters to be self-reliant, to prioritize inner worth over external wealth, and to use their talents meaningfully. Her values shape the March household into a place where kindness, creativity, and charity thrive. Symbolic significance. Symbolically, Marmee represents the ideal of womanhood in transcendentalist thought, a philosophy that profoundly influenced Alcott. She embodies the transcendental virtues of self-discipline, moral integrity, simplicity, and spiritual growth. Her home becomes a sanctuary where these values are cultivated and practiced. For the March sisters, Marmee is a living embodiment of these ideals, serving as a mirror against which they measure their moral development. Marmee also symbolizes the angel in the house trope, a familiar 19th century archetype of the self-sacrificing, nurturing mother. However, Alcott complicates this symbol. While Marmee certainly fits the mold in some respects, she is devoted, gentle, and wise. She also resists being wholly defined by her domestic role. She is not confined by blind obedience to patriarchal norms. Instead, she encourages her daughters to be independent thinkers. She tells Meg, for example, not to marry for wealth or social status, but for love and mutual respect. When Jo wrestles with societal expectations of femininity, Marmee supports her daughter's desire to pursue writing and life outside traditional gender roles. Thus, Marmee stands as both a traditional and progressive symbol, rooted in the values of 19th century domesticity, yet subtly challenging them by emphasizing female agency, moral education, and intellectual growth. Broader implications. Marmee's character resonates beyond the confines of the novel's domestic sphere. Her influence speaks to broader social and feminist themes, especially concerning the role of women in the family and society. First, Marmee represents the power and importance of female leadership within the household. In a time when women's public roles were limited, Alcott presents domestic life as a domain of profound influence and complexity. Marmee doesn't wield power in conventional, external ways through politics, wealth, or status, but her emotional intelligence, moral guidance, and inner strength shape the lives of her children in enduring ways. Alcott seems to argue that the domestic sphere is not a lesser one, but a crucial and active site of ethical formation and societal contribution. Secondly, Marmee's approach to parenting challenges authoritarian models that were common in her era. Rather than enforcing obedience through punishment or fear, she teaches by example, reflection, and conversation. Her parenting philosophy reflects progressive attitudes toward education and moral development. She allows her daughters to fail and learn from their mistakes, trusting their capacity to grow. This approach aligns with educational reform movements of the 19th century that emphasized individual development and the cultivation of character. Marmee's influence also extends to how she raises her daughters to seek fulfillment beyond traditional roles. Though the sisters eventually marry and start families, they do so with a strong sense of self and on their terms. Marmee encourages Jo's literary ambitions, Beth's quiet devotion, Meg's domestic dreams, and Amy's artistic pursuits. Each daughter is treated as a unique individual with a different path, and Marmee validates each journey, resisting the idea that womanhood must look the same for everyone. Finally, Marmee embodies the ethic of servant leadership. She quietly serves her family and community without seeking recognition or reward. Her selflessness is not born of subjugation, but of strength and conviction. She is active in charitable work, serves the poor during wartime shortages, and maintains a steady resolve through hardship. In this way, Alcott offers a vision of leadership rooted in empathy, humility, and service, traits often devalued in male-dominated narratives of power. Conclusion: Marmee is more than just the mother in Little Women. She is its ethical center and spiritual backbone. Through her role in the narrative, Louisa May Alcott offers a powerful vision of motherhood that balances moral guidance with emotional depth, strength with softness, and tradition with quiet rebellion. Symbolically, Marmee bridges the gap between the idealized woman of the 19th century and the emerging model of the self-aware, morally grounded, independent woman. In Marmee, readers encounter a character whose influence surpasses her own story. She teaches that the quiet work of nurturing, teaching, and leading with love has the power to shape generations, not just within a family, but in the broader fabric of society.